Hello. So I had a lot of people want me to make like tier lists in the past. It's kind of hard to make a tier list just because a lot of classes are very different in what they do. But if we're gonna chop it up to like which are the best at which roles, so speed farming, delves, and then just your all around like well balanced classes. I think that's a better way to do it instead of just saying here's your S tier, here's your A tier, in terms of just all the classes in general. So if we're gonna start anywhere, we're gonna start with Slayeron. Slayeron's definitely like the best class in the game. I'm sure no one's gonna fight with that. Slayeron just has the best damage in the game. He has really good ring, prismatic chain. It lets your ult like stack basically and chains off enemies. So Slayeron all around is just really the best class in the game, and nothing truly competes with him. Um, in general, you can take a Slayeron for boss killing, floor clearing and delves, sundered uplands, killing leviathans, anything honestly. So it's a long shot when it comes to Slayer and then the second best class. But anyways, Knight, honestly, just throw Knight in Knight's own tier. You can take that as you want it. But all jokes aside, I don't like Knight very much, but Knight is a pretty good class. He does decent damage with his R1. Overcharge is a pretty good ring, give him the speed, which is something a lot of classes lack, especially when classes don't have any good rings. Having Overcharge is a really nice, well-rounded buff to get from a ring, honestly. Um, Other than that, though, I don't know too much about his damage or anything. He did do pretty good damage in U11, honestly. I don't know about like bosses or anything. I just don't play Knight enough to really know any of that. But moving on. So Fire Captain's in a pretty horrible spot right now. There's a couple meme builds you can do with him where um you run like King Cobra is what I was liking in U11, and then you can pretty much just like pop your ult every single dungeon. But where he suffers is just he doesn't have the best ring abilities. He has no speed abilities. He has very low base speed. His damage isn't even the best, even though you can spam your ults for decent damage. Um, but then that he kind of just falls off. Pirate Captain's in a pretty bad spot right now, honestly. Shadowhunter. Shadowhunter is probably the most played class in the game, if I had to guess, without actually seeing like what the most played class is. Shadowhunter is a really good speed farmer. Shadowhunter isn't great with delves, bosses, anything like that. His kit sucks. It just that's how it is. His seekers aren't that good. If they don't kill what you're fighting, it'll just launch it across the map. So if you're fighting a boss, it's just gonna send it flying, especially if you're not doing enough damage. So that really sucks. His ult is too slow. It doesn't do enough damage. It just drains through your energy. His R1s are decent for endgame, just because then you can one shot curse skulls. But I feel like in general his kit is pretty horrible. But otherwise, if you just want to shoot and then use your roll for speed, he's one of the faster classes and he can speed farm very well. Um, but he is lacking just because of his kit not being able to be used. Whereas like Boomer, you can use anything from Boomer and you get good damage off of him. Sage, Sage can really go in either one of these, honestly. Sage can be a hard carry, but the boss damage isn't there. Sage can be used in speed farming, delves, honestly, pretty much anything except for boss killing. Sage with Chill Out, the ring effect, gives Sage her ult 2 times. So you can proc your chill effect by getting hit, and then popping your ult, and then give you crazy speed in farming. It'll also give you crazy damage in delves. If you group with Sage, put them all into a hole. When you're in delves, if you just group like a bunch of floors, get them all into one small hole, 2 blocks down, 2 blocks deep, I should say. And then you just shoot at it. It'll pretty much instantly nuke the entire floor. So Sage is the best like AoE class if you group. If you don't group, it's probably still Slayerian, honestly. But all around, Sage is a really good class. Fae, Fae's pretty mid, honestly. Fae, like, don't get me wrong, Fae's not horrible, but Fae doesn't have any speed. The teleport isn't that good, which you could try to use for speed, but it's just not that good. The hit registration is pretty bad on your staff. The ult's decent if you spam it in delves or like anything for boss related, but it doesn't do enough damage. And then the R1 bombs are pretty reliable, honestly. The best thing that Faye has going for it. are the R1 bombs. So if you're farming and you want to speed farm, it's kind of like having a pocket splash. So you pretty much just use that as your main attack. Just spam your R1s to just build energy regen. And Sage can be decent for farming, just not the best. I'd say Candy Orb's pretty fun. If you go with the spin to win setup, he can go pretty fast, honestly. So he could be a speed farmer. He just isn't very reliable because you need so much energy regen. And then on top of that, he's just kind of like he's just kind of there. You can go way more efficient in other classes, but he's a fun class to go to mix it up, honestly. Um, he does pretty decent damage. He can go really fast with spin to win, so I'd definitely say check him out if you want to try something new. Neon Ninja. Neon Ninja is probably my favorite class in the game. The only thing holding it back is damage. Neon Ninja can obviously go really fast, and that's why a lot of people play it. The big like downfall of Neon Ninja is the fact that most of the time you just won't have enough damage, so then you have to sacrifice some of your speed for more damage. But when you're on Neon Ninja, you just want to, you just want to go as fast as you can and backflip your way to the next dungeon. So it sucks because you do need Zealous pretty badly. If you don't run Zealous, you're going to want really high energy regen, and then you can run Trailblazing. But I like to run Zealous and Martial. Unless I'm in U10. If I'm in U10, then I'll run Zealous Trailblazing, and it's so much more fun just because you can go as fast as you can. Um, the Shurikens do pretty good damage, honestly. His R1 is pretty useless. His ult is pretty bad. For ring effects, he has the Clone Jutsu, I think it's called. It lets your backflips blow up, which can be pretty nice for splash damage. The only issue is the fact that it blinds you, which can be annoying. But other than that, it's pretty good. I'd say he's a lot better at end game compared to like mid to early game, but mid game you can still kind of use him. I'd just say he's more like an end game class. Uh, the sad Gunslinger. Should I put Gunslinger down one night? Like, Gunslinger's not even mid, but yeah, Gunslinger's in a horrible spot right now, which really sucks to see. Once the best to just now, like, just a random class in the game that you can't even play. Gunslinger has not great damage for delves, for anything. You can do U11 with it, but you can do U11 with any class, honestly. Gunslinger just, the ult doesn't last long enough, it doesn't do enough damage, it has a long cooldown. It's really just annoying to maintain. Gunslinger, even after the buffs, like Gunslinger is just not enough. Gunslinger needs a rework, so it's sad to see. Hopefully, sometime they will like revisit this class. I really think that Pirate or Gunslinger really needs something right now. These are probably the worst two classes in the game, in my opinion. Um, Draco. Draco can be fun. Draco can also be decent in delves. I'd say Toomraiser is pretty much the same class. Honestly, I'm just gonna keep these two together. So Draco and Toomraiser are, in my eyes, the exact same class. Just play whichever one you like more. I like Toomraiser a lot more, but I also have fun on Draco sometimes. So you know, you can pick and choose. But I'd say Toomraiser. These are more like classes you keep in delves just because they have no speed. Um, but you can obviously speed farm with anything. So don't let that like push you away from them if you want to play them. But in general, Doomraiser, uh, you know, you might see me using it a lot for early delves, and it's just because you can run through and let your skeletons kill everything, which is really nice. It can help you farm Binding Darkness, Inner Geode, like adventure boxes, like all that stuff that'll just randomly drop while you're just running. So both these classes can kind of do that. You can just multitask. If you're Draco, just throw your R1s and let your babies kill everything while you're just running to the end. And it can be nice if you're on like volcanic vaults or anything, any floor with lava, get that speed boost. So I really like these classes for delves, especially the early floors, just for running. But other than that, their damage isn't the best. Toomraiser has decent damage. Draco has okay damage, but overall, it's just not enough, honestly. Boomer, Boomer's a nice, well-rounded class, honestly. After the rework, it's very balanced, and I really like it. He's the second best damage for bosses behind Solarion. His whole kit is usable. His R1s are really good. His boomerangs are really good. His ult is amazing. He's weaponized RNG is what like a lot of people like to say, which I agree with. But he works surprisingly. Um, The main comparison between these two is that from my own experience, Slayer can kill a U10 Leviathan in 10 seconds and under. Boomer can take 20 to 30 seconds depending on how like well your ult rolls, what procs you get. So it sucks with the randomness, but at the same time it can speed up a lot of stuff too if you get really good rolls. Otherwise, he can be used for boss killing, delves, leviathans, speed farming. His main drawback is his boomerangs for speed. It's probably the worst speed buff in the game, in my opinion, which sucks because it'd be nice to see it better. So the main issues with it is it just doesn't last long enough, and it's hard to maintain. When you jump into the next dungeon, it can be, you can get it. You can obviously learn how to get the angle right to catch it, but half the time it just doesn't work, or you'll catch it, but it won't give you the speed. So it's really annoying. And then if you want to play melee, like I really liked melee with Boomer before the rework, but after the rework, it's just like it's annoying because then you get the one big boomerang and you can't really catch it when you're jumping to the next dungeon, so you lose all your speed capabilities. Um, but it's still viable for farming. If you want to have fun, it's really nice that you can swap it up and use bow or cyclone. All three of his rings are pretty good. Around very good class, and I'd say one of the best right now. Rev, honestly, Rev is just so good. Rev does really good damage. Speed Heroes makes him really fun. It might be kind of weird that I'm putting Candy Barb down here because Candy Barb has a lot of speed. But Rev's just more reliable. You pop R1 and have Speed Heroes on. You just walk through everything in U11. Honestly, you don't even have to play the game, and it's fun. I'd say he kind of competes with Dino for gear farming, just because you don't really have to do anything. Just walk up, kill the enemies, and just hold square the whole time, honestly. Pick up all the loot. So, if you have any problems with like breaking chests like Bard does, or like Sage, or like any class, has bad hit registration, after seeing Rev, it's kind of hard to go back to these classes just because you'll have trouble not breaking the chest. So, if you're running with people and you want to like save the chest, you have to turn off your R1 before they get there. Uh, or before you kill the enemies, because then you'll just insta break the chest, which is nice. Um, all around, really good damage. His speed is the only thing lacking, but since he has such high damage, you can run speed on everything, so it kind of makes up for it. Lunar, I'm gonna give Lunar a nice S tier 2, or hard carry tier, I suppose I should say. Um, Lunar. So Lunar, he's by far the fastest class in the game with need for speed. Probably the best ring in the game, in my opinion. Um, he does pretty good damage too, honestly, when I think about it. All around, yeah, he does pretty much everything pretty well. I don't know his damage on bosses. I haven't really tested it, but he might even be able to keep with Boomer. I should probably test that at some point. Because just thinking back from like everything, he can pretty much one shot everything in U11 easily, even if you're running full speed. So, yeah, that's something to keep in mind. But generally, he's just a really, really, really fast speed farmer. I'm just gonna put him in hard carry just because you can use him for running to Leviathans, running to 5 stars, running to Sundered Upland 5 stars, running for events, farming moonlight bulbs, anything speed related. He just kind of carries. Need for Speed is my favorite ring in the game. Um, Chloral. It sucks. Chloral hasn't seen any light of day in this game until recently, and the one time Chloral was good, they just nerfed it into the ground again, which sucks. Chloral has really good damage. The main thing holding it back is like, who really wants to sit here and like pop like 10 flasks to get one set of your flowers up when you need 2 sets up in like a plus around the enemy? So let's say your enemy's right here, you're gonna have flowers here, here, and then you have to restart. But it takes 2 flasks each flower, so then it's like it's not fun. It's really not fun. It sucks to see it go from top boss damage to now. It still has good damage. They didn't nerf the damage, I don't think. It was just the flasks, which is just really annoying. But other than that, it can still be used as a boss killer, honestly, and it's still pretty good. Now, Dino. Uh, Dino's an amazing speed farmer. I'm putting him in hard carry just because he's the most efficient in the game, in my opinion. He has really reliable splash damage. His ult is really good. It gives him speed. He doesn't have energy, so you can jump infinitely, which also means you can group. You can jump above the enemies, let them group up below you as your splash damage just kills them. So any of the crustaceans that do the slam attack, which is really annoying for other classes because it makes them stop and they don't run at you. He doesn't have issues with because he can just jump. So that's really good. He can kill all the ranged enemies in Geode while you're just running, and then you get all the loot. So really good for stellar farming. By far the most efficient. Um, and when I say that, like other classes can do like gem farming more efficient. Like I'd say all three of these classes, Shadowhunter, Neon, and Lunar, can all farm gems more efficient. He can farm stellars more efficient. So all around really good. He doesn't have the best boss damage, but I'm putting him in S tier just because he's my favorite, and I really think he's really good. Speed farmers, VG Vanguard is really good. He has so a lot of people like to shit on Vanguard, and I don't know why, to be honest. He has not the best speed, but he has amazing damage. And if I had to guess, I'd say if we're not counting Slayeron, he probably has the highest base damage in the game. Not counting Slayeron because he's just isn't fair. By far the best. But in general, he just has such good damage. He has a speed ability, which is more than some of the classes can say, right? So I don't know why people don't like Vanguard. I really have fun on him. His lasers do really good damage. His only downfall is that he doesn't have the best hit registration. That's really his only downfall, in my opinion. But other than that, he can farm U11 super good, super fast. And if you're farming people, you can run the ring Champions Congregate, which just lets you give your R1 to other people around you, which it's just sharing your speed, which is really nice, especially for farming with friends and having a chill time. I like running the ring even when I'm not farming with people, just because then whenever I want like people join me, just give them the speed. So it's fun. I like it. And then Bard. Bard, he's a pretty good speed farmer. You can also Bard buff, which I'll talk about in a minute, but Um, Bard can be really annoying with breaking boxes after a dungeon. That's why I don't play him much anymore, just because of that fact alone. Um, on that, really good ring, Musical Master, which gives you basically 1,000 crit damage once you have all of your buffs up at the same time, and then you can swap classes, which is where the Bard buff comes into play. So you pop all of your buffs, and then you swap classes, and you still have that crit damage buff. And then when you swap to your Slayer or your Boom or whatever your DPS class is, right? It's just a huge damage increase. So you can kill Leviathans that much faster. You can kill Delve bosses that much faster. It's just annoying to set up, and people don't really do it anymore. But I might still do it for Leviathan kills if I want to get like a really good time. It's just all around like a really good damage buff. So if you're struggling with damage, get that ring if you have Bard, and it can be really good. He can go really fast, and then he buffs everyone around you. So another win-win like Vanguard if you're farming with friends. Um, in general though, Bard's fun. He's a nice change and he's pretty unique compared to all the other classes. So as like a recap, this is where I think the classes stand. Honestly, don't mind the knight. This is just for jokes. Knight's decently good. I'd say knight can probably go in speed farmer, but I don't like him. I know a lot of people do like him. I just don't like that his L2 is useless. His ult is useless. His attack style just looks dumb in my opinion. He's really bulky. I don't really like his costume, so it's just personal preference. But he's definitely viable. Um, then here these classes could really use a little bit of love by the devs. Fae not as much. Fae's definitely not on par with Gunslinger and Pirate Captain. Fae's a little bit better, but these two really need some help. And then these two delves. Candy Barb's a nice fun mix up. Coral, they need to they need to just give her back the undo the undo the nerf. Sorry, honestly, make her really good damage again. Then she'd probably be up in hard carry again. It was really fun having her carry for damage. Honestly, Sage can do everything. Sage is a really good all rounder. I'd put Sage up here, but I just want to have like the delve section, even though Slayer should be in delves, Boomer should be in delves, but it's just really hard to make a tier list. So, um, But in general, definitely a really hard carry class. So if you don't know what to play and you want magic, Sage, honestly. Your farmers, uh, all the physical guys, literally all these physical guys, and then you have Bard and Dino. So it's yeah, I'd say in general more of the physical classes are the farmers, and then the magic damage classes are the delve classes. Besides like Bard, you can use him wherever really. He just doesn't have good boss damage, and then Dino, he doesn't have the best boss damage, but he's a really good farmer. Um, but this is my take on it. If you think anything should be changed, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. Change my mind. Um, but in general, I really do think at least these three right here, top tier. I probably honestly just like throw Dino down here and do that, mix it up, and then just even get rid of the Delves category and throw Chloral down here if you want like the ultimate tier list. But I'm being a little bit biased and just putting Dino in S tier because he's my favorite. But if you want a little bit more of a well-rounded one, that's probably what it'd look like. And then Knight, like mid. I don't want to put him in speed farmers. I would never use Knight for speed farming personally. Um, so if you want a more serious list, this is probably what it'd look like. But yeah, in general, you know, don't take this to heart. If you think like if Gunslinger is your favorite class, that's fine. This doesn't mean don't play the classes. Obviously, play the classes you have fun on. If you're playing a class you hate, so let's say like you're only playing Lunar because of his efficiency, but you hate playing Lunar. I used to do that in the past. Like I couldn't stand Lunar, but then I saw how fast he was and I wanted to play him for a bit, and I couldn't stand it. Now I actually don't mind him, but you're just gonna burn yourself out if you're playing a class that's super efficient, but you don't enjoy it. So take a step back, play the classes you want to test out. I know a lot of people love Tomb Raiser. I love Tomb Raiser. Just because it's down here doesn't mean it's horrible. It's just not as efficient in my eyes. So yeah, this is my take on it. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.